Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends. I hope that you're all having a great day and having a lot of fun with Grim Forest, the recent update that happened yesterday. Today, in my video, I want to talk about some data mines. Yes, if you're not aware of what data mines are, that's basically file digging where you can find some useful information. This is something that I commonly did on my on my Marvel Strike Force channel. I do want to give a special shout out to Bose Gorilla, a friend of mine who helps me, at least on the raid side right now, digging around on some files. And we found some pretty interesting things about upcoming characters coming to the game, including what looks to be like a new mythical. That's going to be released pretty soon, probably when they announce the official the fusion character, right? And then there's going to be a bunch of characters this coming patch. I want to talk about all the things I found in today's video, but before we get started with that, I want to talk about Narma the Returned. If you use the QR code in the top right to make a new account, you will get her recently reworked of Knight's Revenant in these three amazing epics: Allure, Tagore, and Ruella at account level 10, 20, and 30. And don't forget to use the promo code Demon Slayer within the first 48 hours of a brand new account to get yourself this amazing legendary dwarf DPS. Okay, let's get started with some of the things. There's a lot to cover, but so this was a asset folder file, I guess, of all of the avatar, well, not avatar icons, but icons of different characters. And a lot of these you might know from Faction Hard Mode. There's Amius down here. I'm actually going to remove myself from the corner so you guys can get a better view of the full picture here. But you can see a lot of these bosses are also from Grim Forest. So basically, the Mimic, these four, I think, across the top or in this part here, is from Grim Forest. We have the big boss guy, who I forget the name of, the Goblin guy. I call him the Goblin guy with the chest. This one here, and I think these two on the bottom. This looks like a spider one, and then whatever the hell this is. Right, so those are all the new bosses for Grim Forest, which we know of if you started to work your way through that. I've actually encountered two of these, actually three of these so far. Now, that's not the most important stuff, but this is the most recent update asset folder for new characters. Now, on here, you might see or might notice that there's a handful of characters that I don't know who they are. Namely, this one next to Hilda. So Hilda was the epic fusion for one of the I forget which fusion event it was, but one of the most recent ones. Anyways, here it wasn't for Maria. I don't think it was for Maria. I think it was for someone else. Um, and then there's this character. So this is probably because he's very unimpressive looking, I think, and he doesn't have a passive. So I actually have ability icons for most of these characters, and he only does not have a passive. So I think this is going to be the rare for the upcoming traditional fusion that's going to happen. There is this dwarf down here, which is a new character. They have this character, I don't know, this woman with a red armor. Basically, maybe it's Bannerlords, right? Bannerlords tend to use armor. And then these three characters in the bottom right-hand corner. And one of these are a mythical. This one that my cursor is pointing over here. We're going to take a look at some of these, though. So there's these two champions that I kind of want to point out here. And one of these two are going to be the fusion. Most, like 95% that is going to be the fusion for December. Now, I'm kind of aiming towards the one on the left because I'll be honest, this one on the right looks really badass. And some people are suggesting that the upcoming fusion is going to be somehow related to Carolon of the Knight's Revenant, right? So Knight's Revenant, just to jump back really quickly to that one, there's been some talk about him, Carolon the Ringer. So I'm wondering if this other character is going to be basically a character for that, you know, the one on the left, maybe like a duo like there was for Saint Nick and also for Noel, right? And but otherwise, this one on the right, which looks very Shadowkin-y, is going to be another legendary as well. Now, there are some icons for these two characters here. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, right? But you can see here the icons for the one on the left, and then the one for what I think is kind of a Shadowkin-y looking character here with the passive icon here. You can see in the bottom right here. And then it looks pretty. I think it looks Shadowkin-y. Now, as far as the one on the left, I'm not really sure what faction this gives away from the portrait. Honestly, I mean, I guess it's not going to be undead. Maybe it's Knights Revenant, but I guess it's just the hat. It could be Sacred Order, right? They don't have to be the same faction if they're doing some sort of duo thing like they did with Saint Nick and Sir Nick and Noel. What else do we have here? We have this character here that I was thought this is going to be the new mythical, okay? Because inside of the data files we did get these. We got some icons here, but if you notice here in the top left hand of the corner, this is basically the icon for transforming between forms. So there's also some overspill icons as well, right? So this is for the first form, I believe. So there's like 6, I guess, related to the first form, or at least there's going to be maybe 2 passives even here for the first form, and then for the second form, this is available here. I don't know. Maybe there's one from the first form, one from, I'm not sure how the icons actually kind of overspill like this, as far as maybe one's for one form and the other one's for a second form. But otherwise, you could also see the additional transform back kind of icon here with some additional icons that are kind of locked until you ascend them. So that's pretty interesting to note. So just going back to this photo, right, the bigger one with all of the characters. So we have these two in the bottom right, which are going to be some new legendaries. One of them is going to be the fusion. We have one mythical. There's this dwarf guy, and so one of these, I guess, are probably also a legendary. There's going to be, if there's a traditional fusion event coming, we know that there's a building blocks of one rare, one epic, which leads into the legendary. Now, I guess the question is the epic going to be this with the red, the kind of banner lordy looking, or the dwarf bald kind of bald dwarf here, right? Otherwise, one of them is going to be a legendary, which would give us 3 legendary characters, 1 epic, 1 mythical, and 1 rare, for a total of 6 for this update. So quite a few additional champions. I wanted to jump through some of the icons. There we go. The dwarf guy does have some icons here. You can see the dwarf guy's icons. And again, I don't have their names though, so we're just going by what they look like at this point. And then this one, which I believe is to be the rare, has these 3 icons with no passive, or at least it doesn't appear to be a passive, or he has like less skills. So that's why I do believe, and he's very unimpressive looking. So honestly, I think that this is probably what's going to end up happening. I don't have the icons for the what I call the red Bannerlord woman, but we're going to talk about the fusions a little bit more detail. Actually, before we get too much further into the video, I wanted to do a little bit of speculation about this mythical character, because I'm looking at this portrait right now, and I see some pointed ears. So I'm wondering if this is going to be either a high elf or a dark elf mythical. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. I wanted to go back into those factions to see how many of them actually existed. There's only one mythical for the Dark Elf faction, and I heard, this Ophidius guy is not very good, and I heard he was quite old, like kind of when they first came out. High Elves also only have one, so I'm not really sure. What do you guys think, just by looking at the picture here? High Elf, kind of wintry look, or Dark Elf? Definitely, I could see that for sure. I mean, it kind of looks more Dark Elf. I am placing my bet on Dark Elf rather than High Elf. But definitely a faction that needs some more love, I think. Aside from the characters that you're already getting, like Mithrala and Lydia, I think, though, that they need some big hitters, like some new characters, I think, in the Dark Elf faction. So I am pretty excited. Even though, obviously, my odds of getting this champion is probably going to be next to none. I did pull some recent mythicals, but honestly, in terms of primal shards, I mean, it is a lot of spending, right? And you don't get a ton free to play. So yeah, they can come out, you can get excited about it, but unless you get really lucky or you spend a lot of money, you're probably not going to see that many of them. And one thing that I found interesting, and I am recording this the evening before I actually put the video out, but I noticed that we have this Yuletide event in game right now, except for it's not the Titan event that I was everyone was saying that we were going to get. And the only reason why this is kind of important is because maybe the fusion event is actually going to be coming a lot quicker than people think. And so I wanted to jump back, and I love how Hades' website for the past fusion events kind of stuff here. It shows the list of all the champion fusions from the game here. And I wanted to jump not too far back, but like 2023, there was this Blizzard the Howler. This is way before me. But the dates anyways, December the 14th to the 31st, because I was kind of looking at my own calendar, right? And maybe it could start like tomorrow, or like Friday the 12th, right? Like that's possible, or the 19th, right? Because it's going to be 2 weeks, but they tend to be towards the end of the month usually when these sorts of events start, because if you go back to 24, well, okay, Lady Noel was December the 16th. So I don't know if a Titan event is actually going to happen or not, but it does seem that the Fusion event may be starting as early as this weekend, possibly. We're going to have to find out when they release more information on officially from from those pictures I showed you, like which one of those are actually going to be the fusion event. But I think more often than not that, or well, that was the wrong thing to say, but that is probably going to be a traditional fusion, and not just because Lady Noelle was, but if you look at what's been happening in this year, we had Crow's Wall Breaker, which was a fragment fusion event. We had Sanguine Maria for Halloween, right? Who was a hybrid fusion event, and then we had a traditional fusion for Granite. Now, this obvious, which was Hilda. Now that I remember, was the Hilda epic, right? The dwarf. Now it could have been, it doesn't have to be in this way because we had a fragment back to back with a hybrid and a traditional with Tholen. But I think this kind of makes sense. I think it's probably likely that we will, not. We've had so many fragment fusions, we're probably not going to get another one. So either it's going to be a hybrid fusion, which still involves an epic, or we are going to be getting a traditional fusion, which involves the 16 rares, going up to the 4 epics, and then fusing the final character there. So I would be interested to see which of these characters are actually going to make it. I really wanted to be this bottom right character because he looks so badass and he looks like some sort of like wintry, like Shadowkin type character. But I have a feeling it's going to be like a more supporty character here next to them. We'll see what ends up happening. But some of these characters, just by the portrait alone, I know that doesn't tell us everything, but it does look pretty cool, and I'm pretty excited to see what happens in Raid Shadow Legends around the corner, because it looks like there's going to be a lot of things going on in the game. And again, this is not a Grim Forest video today, but I'm having a lot of fun with this, and it's a great time, I think, to be playing Raid Shadow Legends. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below. Before I go, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started playing the game yet, what are you waiting for? Get out from under that rock, download using the QR code, and get Narma the Returned, and also these 3 amazing epics. Allure at level 10, Tagore at level 20, and my personal favorite these days, Ruella at account level 30. These are great epic champions to start your journey off. And don't forget to use the promo code Demon Slayer within the first 48 hours of a brand new account to get the legendary dwarf DPS, Tholen Falbeard. I use him every single day. That's it for now, everyone, and I'll see you guys all on the next video. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.